Reagan, thank you for being here. Man, I'm so glad that this works.
I am too.
Yeah, I it just seems like when we talked last week or week and a half, it was like it was just everything. It was like I got sick, computer doesn't work, didn't record your files, didn't do this, and I'm like, take a breather. Like if this is happening, there's probably like a reason. So I just have this thing, and it helps me in times like that where it's just like, okay, there's something going on because there wouldn't be this much interference if something good wasn't going to happen or come out of it. Does that make
Correct.
sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I think I got a little bit sick around when you did too. And it was,
Oh no, COVID gets passed through the computer.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that's a
telling you, well, it, I think I started feeling it around the time of the podcast. So
it just hit you.
yeah, it was kind of a creeper that time for sure.
Well,
Didn't feel too bad. Kind of was like a cold. And then it took me for a couple days, but
yeah.
pushed through it.
No, that was the same for me. I legit was fine, then not fine. And
Mhm.
then my mom was like, "You don't look so good." And I was like, "I'm just probably the weather change or whatever." And then the minute I took that thing, I'm like, and this is knock on wood, but like I looked up and I go, I haven't been sick for 3 years with COVID. There's no way. Before I could even finish the sentence, the thing just popped hot,
Yeah,
like immediately. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
no, it's not.
But no, brother, I want to say this when we are starting this out because this is why I love doing this because like we met on Instagram. We talked. We were like, sure, we can do this Zoom call. I would love to. I'm open to talking and meeting with people and doing this whole thing. And just in a matter of like a few weeks, it's like, I'm like, contact me if you need anything, like a friend, a brother, like, martial arts, we could talk martial arts. Like, did you watch the fight? Like anything. It's
Yeah.
so awesome. Like the world we live in, if we use it properly, use it accordingly, and I can connect with you states away and be like, dude, did you see that knockout? Like,
Yeah, yeah. It is nuts. It's everything's changed. Even in like 13 years. I mean, I remember being 9 and like my whole world was my house and school and down the street, and now it's literally everywhere.
yeah,
I thought
anywhere.
maybe someday to go fight on another continent. Like that's nuts. That's a crazy thing to think about. I mean, and I know I'll get
Oh,
there too,
yeah,
you know.
that is an interesting thought. So like what do Abu Dhabi? What UFC is doing like only a certain couple, but yeah, they've been all over the place. They've been
They
talking about like Africa.
Liverpool, Australia, Abu Dhabi,
Hmm.
Rio de Janeiro. A
Oh,
lot
I
of good.
forgot Rio.
A couple in Canada. I don't know. I'm not too sure how wide or how far they go out, but
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I said, I wanted to just like get into it. Now, something that I wanted to talk to you about, which we only got a little bit of, was um you're a great dad and you have a beautiful little daughter.
mhm.
What is her name? It cut out last time we were talking and I couldn't hear it.
Aria.
Aria, that's it.
Yeah.
Got it. I heard the A and then it was like and then just like cut out for the whole thing. I go, okay. To think of names that have an A in it. Just
There's a lot.
but I mean, and you said something that was really, tell me about her because the way you talked about her, I was like, man, this guy is an amazing dad.
She well, I'll start with saying long blonde hair. Very, very blonde hair. And she came out with brown hair and it went straight to blonde within a few weeks. Um, but she's the most amazing little girl I've ever met in my life. I mean, she's changed my life. Um, I've never been very fond of babies whatsoever. But I had my niece a long time ago, and I didn't think I could love anybody more than I loved my niece till I met my ex-wife and had my child. and it definitely changed me. She started out super small, and just as she's grown, she's gotten smarter. She's learned all the new things that you learned growing up, and she's done everything at a record pace. I mean, she's very intelligent. I can't really say that I could take credit for most of that. Her mom is big on sign language and learning other things, and so my daughter is already freaky smart, and she's very playful, very playful.
Yeah.
Working on that. Like I told you last time, she's going to be a little fighter someday because
Oh yeah. I
she
bet.
rough, and she's barely a year and 3 months old, so 15.
Holy cow.
Yeah, she's gotten huge, man. She's definitely grown a lot. It's crazy how far she's come in a year, you know.
It's crazy how that happened because I sat down like after we talked and I was thinking about my kiddo and I'm like, okay, he's about to be 9. And then I'm like 10, 11, 12, 13,
Hmm.
14. I go,
Yeah,
5 years, he'll be like, leave me alone, dad. And like driving a car.
yeah,
And last night, which is insane that 5 years from now that's gonna happen. Like I'm just like cautiously preparing myself. But last night, like he goes, I want to sleep with you. I'm like, all right, just we'll read a book, right? I was tired, he was tired. So we
mhm,
lay in my bed, my big bed, and I'm over here just like trying not to doze off. And he just has this dinosaur book and he goes, that's odd. I'm like, what's odd? He's like, I don't know. Do you think God made dinosaurs? And and as a dad, you're supposed to be the guy who knows the answer.
yeah,
You're like, oh, they have a question. I gotta answer it. And I still remember like when he used to ask questions like that, but very simple, like 3, 4 years old. And
mhm,
now he's like, it was like a bait. He like baited me. And I was like, I don't know. He goes, well, actually, if and he started going off. He's like, if God made us and then the universe and then we had this and started going through the Bible and he's like, so I think he made dinosaurs.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, I don't know, but your answer sounds pretty good. So I'll just say yes.
yeah,
And he went to bed and he kept like rolling around. I'm like, dude, go to bed if you're gonna be in here. Like, I'm tired. You're waking me up. And he goes, I just need to touch you. And I'm like, all right. And then the part he picked was his butt crack. So he
yeah.
then just like this and was just like and fell asleep with this weird arch and just was touching me with his butt. And I'm like,
That's a
okay.
kid thing, dude. It's weird.
It's not like, and I don't know if it's probably because like safety and like I feel
Yeah,
really
that's
safe.
exactly what it is. Yeah,
Hmm.
weird,
Does
weird how they choose to do it.
does your daughter do that? Like, oh, just
uh,
play
she
with you.
she likes to play with my ears when she sleeps. Like it's it's like some little kids have their little safety blanket or whatever. My daughter just plays with my ears. By the way, I just have to say, you're drinking Dr. Pepper. You're killing it, my dude. You're
Oh,
killing it.
well, thank you.
There's no other statement you could make in this other than drinking a Dr. Pepper.
That's
Every
right.
dub, bro. Every dub, there's a Dr. Pepper sitting next to it. So
Excellent. So this is a win. All right.
absolutely.
But I wanted to talk about your drive on fighting, the thing that you found. It's the thing you found that you it's like the first thing you found that has success, motivation, the thing that you can pursue and fight through adversity. And
Mhm,
that's a very common ground for a lot of fighters that I've talked to. It's
mhm,
like one, yes, I might have found it there's a couple scenarios. One, like, oh, I'm in here for the wrong reason. And then I ended up then I end up liking it more than I thought I would. And
mhm.
then now they have a career because it's the thing that they just love with everything. And
Yeah.
like your attitude and your drive for your fight career just tells me everything I need to know, which is that you're gonna be successful with it, right? You're gonna do it no matter what. So no one can stop you. And no matter what there is, you're there for it. You're not uncomfortable or upset or this or content. You're here to UFC gold,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that there are some people that are in for the wrong reason and they start loving it. I always wondered what that thing was that I felt like I was missing in my life, like forever. But I was always that kid that felt comfortable, in the middle of the forums at school going bodies with his best friends and,
Right.
just kind of banging around, just being dorks, being boys. And it started out as I wanted to prove everybody wrong and just be like, I'm this badass dude, I can do this. And I realized when I started that it wasn't easy. And so I actually proved myself wrong.
Yeah.
And so did MMA. Just look at Tristram. I mean, he was a monster, and I just walked in there not knowing anything that was going to happen. And
Yeah.
I thought I had the world in my hand, and it definitely ended in a way I didn't expect it to, and it opened my eyes a lot, and
Mm.
it set a path for me. Um, and people are always telling me I need to do something better with my time, and like I can't explain to them enough because not very many people have something that they're missing,
Right.
other than their soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
But can't explain ever with the right words. You know, I cannot live without this. I have gone like 2 days at most without going to the gym. If I'm sick, I put on a mask, bring sanitizing wipes, bro, and sanitize everything I touch. I
Yeah.
my ass. I mean, if I am not in the gym, I am out of my place. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. It doesn't solve all my problems. It helps me learn to become a problem solver, but
Mm-hmm.
it's that therapy. Yeah, it's therapeutic, like just every minute of it, and not just being in the gym, watching MMA, looking at statistics, researching, studying, because that's a big part of my life too. If I'm at home 7 hours of the day after work and before, at least 3 or 4 hours of that day is going to be probably 5 hours of that day is going to be MMA related.
Is it,
I'm
that's statistics like opponents that are in your category that are local fight?
um, rewatching very old fights, from the start of UFC, 96 all the way to now, watching significant strikes, why did the judges score it this way, you know, and trying to, I guess, piece together not really a game plan, but also when I'm doing my statistic studying and whatnot, I kind of like to find out which styles get the most traction, where
Mm.
significant strikes are landed, um, a more powerful clinch, ground and pound, grappling styles. A lot of my studying correlates back to, what part of my style works the most in daily life for other fighters. And because I feel like I'm multi-styled now. I feel
Right.
like I call myself a mixed martial artist properly now. I may not be like fully belted on anything, but I think that I have a wide understanding, enough to call myself a mixed martial artist. And so just a lot of researching, really, um, trying to formulate new game plans for my style. Um, a lot of, I guess, move research, trying to figure out, if I can do this. I do take it and put it into play at the gym, and I try to work on things I see, and then it's constant repetition from there. Even when I'm at
Mm-hmm.
home, I got a dummy so that I can practice jujitsu if I don't have anybody to work with. Obviously, a dummy don't fight back,
Yeah.
um, but I'm always working. I'm,
I
I'm
mean that that's
tunnel.
that's a good you have a good point. That's a good mindset. I don't think that the one sentence was looking at even old fights and like following a trajectory of how judges scored that, because not only is it okay, yeah, like maybe you are, you know, a showstopper and you have this and that, but you also lost a decision, a split decision, and then you're like, you know, you have to extrapolate things from
Mhm.
other people. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a professor, philosopher, like it's not just the art of learning how to punch someone in the face. Like
Mhm.
it's breaking down what you need to do to be better, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the confusion between people who like just watch it and people who actually practice it.
Mhm.
Because I love, like, on my lunch breaks at work and stuff, I play chess on my phone, and it took me forever to realize why I was playing chess. And it keeps me sharp. Like I have to think 5 steps ahead, right? Some
Mhm.
people say 3, but I'm like this there, that there, this there, that, and if he moves that, cool. And it's like set up. And I before I found MMA and before jujitsu, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I can set it up that way. And then doing jujitsu, I'm like, this is human chess.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking how to set this up 4 moves down the line, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that was the part that, like, John Donaher, who is with Gordon Ryan,
Mhm.
like that's his life. He's literally a professor, philosopher of jujitsu, because
Yeah.
it's like it's infinite. There's things like you can just go down. Oh, someone improved that piece of the jujitsu game. Cool, and then just go through that rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
I think that's a key aspect that people are missing.
Well, and I think that's a big play in like these decisions that everybody are like, oh my god, it should have went to, good example right here, Patty Pimblett and Jared Gordon fight.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't watch that. Did you watch it?
I Personally, I think I do know that MMA judging and MMA scoring has changed a little bit in the past like year. I think they changed it to um, I think control time obviously does have a big play in it more than other things did before. But I think damage is really big on scoring now.
Yeah.
It's not as technical because of all the stardom and whatnot that's going on, which is a bother.
Mm-hmm.
But Patty notices that, and so while putting himself out there with his kind of um, sloppy striking that he
Yeah,
put on,
very
he
lackadaisical. Yeah.
he put on he put on a power clinic, I think, and that won the judges over. I think that even though he did get controlled on the ground and did get out grappled in some places, he took the most risks. And I think that's something that's widely looked at. I don't think it's manly to punch somebody in the face. I think it's manly to get hit in the face and return without stepping back, And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's gameplay that Patty threw on. And I think that's the gameplay that a lot of these wins are gotten from. These significant strikes are a big thing, and people don't realize that. And they'll say, okay, well, he had 10 more significant strikes than him in this round. Well, what was the outcome from those significant strikes?
Right.
Did those significant strikes just pelt me and move my chin a little bit, or did it, mollywop me into the ground? And,
Right.
a lot of those people with the touch of death, they get the luck on it. But I think once Patty goes up, that favoring is going to stop. So at some point, the technique does come into play. You can't juice it forever,
Right.
uh,
Agreed.
but I think you can be smart with how you play the statistics and whatnot. Like you said, if you think ahead in your fights.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, your point to your point too, I used to just watch UFC and I used to just watch the MMA scene. And um then I got into One Championship. And then One Championship has lots of Muay Thai fights.
Oh yeah.
And and I'm telling you, those guys
Oh
are a
god.
different breed of like human being,
Mhm.
because most of them, I mean, I've seen shit where like their entire like from here down is just bloody and beaten from kicks, from knees, from I mean, one dude clearly broke a rib and it's just sticking out, and he just kept for 3 more rounds, just kept getting hit, and was like, just no big deal. I'm like,
Or Rodtang taking those back-to-back punches. Yeah.
Like this. I'm like,
That,
who is this hot dog guy? I don't.
he's got a great mouth guard, because I do that with my mouth guard. I kind of, take that many hits, my jaw will feel off kilter for a few days.
And
probably should get a new mouth guard, is what I'm saying.
Well, and I do like that. So now that I'm getting into like one more than I am UFC, because just throw that out there. I did talk to I talked to people about UFC and being in the UFC and getting to the UFC, and it's sad to say it, but there's nothing else other than the truth when it comes out of my mouth. It's UFC. You can, like you said, you can get by on popularity. you can be like, for example, I watched just one quick little like highlight of Paddy's fight, and there's one where he has a strong like offhand protect, and then goes for a jab to make him lean that way. Gets super excited about it, like you see his eyes get big, and he goes like this, like to throw his two, and that dude just counters it perfectly, and he just goes like this and tries to stick his head away and just boom gets hit. And I'm like, there's no, like, that should be like here, like solid, like you're in the UFC. And it's like, now I have to question, am I watching things because of your presence online, or am I actually like, is it legit? And then when I watch one championship, it's all legit.
I will say, where Patty's concerned, love the dude. He's Scouser.
A Scouser. We don't get knocked out.
Guy. I love watching some of the things that gets put out of him. But I think he took that Conor McGregor hype train.
Yeah.
And Conor McGregor did it differently, because he unfortunately actually is the only one that kind of backs it up.
Mm-hmm.
Even
it's true.
He got knocked out by Dustin Poirier in the second fight. If you see those last like 20 punches that Poirier throws, Conor's moving around. I mean, he looked lucid, still clipping shots. He got hit with that nice one that cut that connection to his brain, sat him down, and then it was cake for Dustin from there. But
yeah,
a lot of fighters think that they can just come in with the hype train without the skill. And if you look at Conor's fourth fight versus Paddy's, Conor was whooping Dustin into a TKO on his fourth fight. Yeah. Paddy getting whooped by Jared Gordon in his fourth fight. And so the two hype trains are both similarly followed, but I think the more casuals go towards the Paddy Pimblett side.
Yeah.
And so they realize, oh my goodness, he's not backing it up like, those before. And I think that's becoming a new age too. UFC's turning into WWE a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
There's more money.
Big, but I don't study all UFC fights anymore for my, just for my research and knowledge. I study a lot, like you said, one, because they're nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're nuts.
That's an understatement. I mean, I was after I watched, I think it had to have been, it was Jonathan Haggerty, the guy who lost the belt from Rodtang.
Oh yeah.
So I watched them go to war, and then I found them both on Instagram. I have never lost 2 hours quicker in my entire life. I was like on my phone, just like watching them hit pads, and have been doing Muay Thai since they were children. And it's like, okay, it's a similar path as like people who box since they're children, but it's way more. It's the master of 8 limbs. That's Muay Thai. I mean, you 1, 2, 3, 4, your knees and your
5,
shins.
6, 7, 8, yeah.
I mean, you are an assassin at that point. Like you're MI6, okay? Like you are a full on like spec ops, like these guys. And like I said, it's becoming a popularity contest for the UFC. There's more money, and obviously by saying that, we're not saying if they offered someone a UFC fight or a contract or whatever, no one's going to say no, of course. But like there is something you have to look at least I can, because I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be watching, because that's where I'm content with doing it, right? There's like you can enjoy it both ways, be in it and watch it in both. But there's clearly from the outside other influences than 8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, they're getting paid less than they are now,
Mhm.
right? The skill is higher. And this is back then, 8 years ago, and it was really focused on them like, I want the belt. But
Mhm.
then you have someone who's like Paddy's a co-main, right? And I'm
Mhm.
not dogging the guy. I'm just saying he's the most recent example that I can pull from. But
Mhm.
he goes, I'm the co-main event. He's thinking I'm a co-main event. I have a good social media presence. I've generated a lot of traction. And then this is on pay-per-view. So if people come to the pay-per-view because from my content that I brought them, then
Yeah.
I get a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing like
Yeah.
8 years ago. Like that's
Yeah.
even 5 years ago. Like that's a new development.
Well,
And
there's one fighter that's good in that case. I'll say that for sure right now, and that's Hamzat Chimaev.
oh man.
That man, I mean, the pay-per-views he's selling,
Mm,
and the fact that he just hopped up there with Dorino Burns and just slugged it out. I mean, he could have been a little more technical, but that was intense, and I think that he's definitely worked it for sure. But I'd like to see more names that you don't hear much of
yeah,
get up more often, because you remember Frankie Edgar and you remember Frank Mir and Tito Ortiz a little bit and Chael Sonnen and all those big guys, but you never remember the second and the third in line to the belt. You only
correct.
remember the big names, and so I do study those little names, and I know Benail Dariush is kind of a big name, but also I didn't really, other than seeing him in the rankings, didn't really know much about him until this year.
Yeah, same.
And he just handed Gamrot his tush, and that's respectable.
Yeah,
That's respectable that I haven't heard you, and here you come. And
crashing through the ranking.
yep, and he ain't been given a title shot yet. I think he earned one
I
by
think he
now.
did.
It's all favoritism, like
Mm.
on a big aspect at the moment.
I mean, it's true, but I think that will obviously, if that's into play, and people figure it out, it's not gonna. I
Last
mean,
breath.
yeah, it's probably not gonna. It's only gonna be a certain few that can leverage that. But either way, you're here to be one of those guys, and
Absolutely.
there's this strong feeling after just talking with you a couple times, texting. I'm like, yeah, like I'm like, yeah, he will. Like, there's nothing that will stop him, anyways. Is that the ultimate goal, though? Do you just to
Uh, you
be?
know, if the UFC by the time say the UFC is not the big bad and the big boss of everything in 2 years,
Anything could
um,
happen.
it may be some other fighting promotion, maybe one, it may be Bellator. Bellator somehow just blows up bigger. It really depends on everything, but right now my main course is I am a very good learner, but I am also really, really good under pressure. Um, I'm good at continuing on where people do not think I am capable. And that's the end goal, is to show those that are capable that I can make them incapable for the time being.
Nice.
And I can
Yeah.
be I can be top dog, and not everybody stays top dog forever. And I got a long way to go before I am, but mentally I'm tough as iron, and I think that if you have a good mentality, nothing, you know, a failure is just a lesson, and a draw is another reason for a rematch. We talked about that last time.
Yeah. Yep.
But failure is just a lesson, and so every time I fail, I just, I take it in the shorts for a few seconds, and then I get up and deal with it.
Well, let me let's go into that. Let's talk about the no contest fight, because we talked about it and I was like, okay, that needs to be overturned
Mhm.
because it's insane. It's a story. But also, I don't know if can you see that below my camera where it says the meeting time?
Uh,
Okay.
no.
It'll notify me because I forgot I don't have the pro version, so it does it in 40-minute increments.
Mhm.
So we'll do this one, and then when it's done, I'll hit record again, and then I'll just have two.
Okay. Good
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah. But I want to hear more about, like I said, they probably do too, about this no contest fight with Abe Sanchez.
Mhm. So, I had a decent camp. It wasn't a long one. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. I had a fight ripped out from under me August 6th for Dynasty. I was going to go up against Kylan Bishop. He was 2-0 at the time. He had actually just fought Abe, and he won the fight unanimous decision. I know Kylan is a little bit, I believe, a little higher level than me. Maybe not. I've been told otherwise. But the fight got ripped from under me, so I went to Tim Baser. Now, Mr. Tim Baser is a promoter for Omaha Fight Club. Great guy, great coach, great fighter. Doesn't have the best record on the planet, but he's also a badass, to say
Nice.
the least. Love the dude. So he got me a fight right off the bat, and it was Abe Sanchez. Yeah, I think that's his last name. But he got me the fight, and I took it. And so I had just kind of taken a week off from my previous camp that I had my fight drug out from me under. And I got back into it once I verbally signed, and just grinded for a month and a half with my best friend, like right next to me the whole way through.
Hmm.
I wanted him to be part of the podcast if I was planning on doing it over up at my spot at the gym. But we grinded for a month and a half, and he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. Um, I mean, I've been told that my performance in camp was inspirational,
That's
and
got to
that
feel pretty good.
I have, you know, people have told me I've done that workout and you absolutely shredded it. You've been doing absolutely amazing. The improvement I've seen is, I improved so much because it was just a different goal and I had a different mindset. So this dude, in my mind, whether it was a unanimous decision, split decision, or a knockout, he was gonna go home hurting, wishing he never signed a fight. So
Right.
that was the goal. And when I met him at the weigh-ins, um, he saw me ahead of time. I couldn't even fight. And I guess he was watching me get ready to weigh in, get my clothes off and everything. And I saw him finally, and I was like, oh, he's short. But it's also the lightweight division, so everybody's short compared to me.
You
I'm
said you.
short. Like I've grown an inch in the last year. I just look down on everybody. So
What is it? You 6'4"?
yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
When I fought Tristram, I was 6'4" shoes on. But I hit a growth spurt. I've gotten a little bit taller and bigger. So I saw him, and the first thing I thought was, man, he was shorter than Johnny. And so he was shorter than the last guy I fought Pro FC. And
Mm-hmm.
but he was a little stocky, a little muscle milk looking dude. And I was just like, oh, this is gonna be easy work. I got that jab. Jab is king. They
Oh
don't call
my
me.
gosh. Yeah,
They
it's
don't
like
call me
standing
sniper
over
for no.
here and just poking. You're like, get back. It's
Yep. They don't call me the sniper for no reason. So I shook his hand, said, "You better help me put on a show tomorrow night, or I'm going to be disappointed," and walked away. I wanted to start a little beef because he wouldn't
Ooh.
act with me.
Ooh.
So, and he didn't say anything to me.
I got
Just
goosebumps over here.
he stayed stoic and didn't get fire back at me or anything. And the pictures came to play, and we took our pictures, and he was shaking, and it could have either been fear or adrenaline or both. And
Yeah.
so, at that point, I'm ready to get into it. I weighed in at 164.6, so 0.4 pounds under. I was hungry as hell, just dropped like 20, ready to
Yeah.
eat. And the goal was to get some sleep and go hurt a man the next day. And so, I didn't get my walkout song. They played someone else's song as my walkout song. That really pissed me off. So that kind of
Oh,
set me
damn. Yeah,
overdrive.
that would mentally fuck with you.
Yeah, that made me mad. I looked at Tim and I was like, where the hell is my walkout song? And
Yeah.
just went like that. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? But
You're like, there's not that many of us, okay? Like, there's.
I know there's really not. But so I was feeling the adrenaline for sure. I've been in so many sparring matches and it's nothing, not a thing. I don't feel anything. I'm just training. That's it. And this is the end goal. This is Bowser at the end of Mario. He
Right.
don't, and for some reason I was freaked out. I was scared to death that my mom was there for the first time, going to watch me get knocked out or something.
Right.
And
so this was you said this was the first fight where your parents, your mom and everyone came to support you?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I mean, when I fought Tristram, my ex-wife cornered me because, I didn't have an MMA gym I was a part of. I was just doing this spree of the moment thing.
Wait, hold on. With Tristram, you didn't have like a gym? Like you weren't somewhere?
Not a thing.
Well, dude, you are okay. I said it before. Excuse me. I know we're cutting through two stories here, but we're gonna stick with the Tristram one for now. Dude, I'm telling you right now, that the mindset, right? Like people will think that's stupid and cocky and this and that. No. But look at where he's coming from. He wants it. He wants this. He's literally willing to do anything. Like, then he finds a gym. I'm talking about you, of course. And then you find a gym, right? You can connect into that group and train in an actual gym, right? Dude, I saw you like doing things and like had good movement, and I'm like, oh, like on the video, I'm like, he's got some kind of striking balance,
Yeah.
And then now you're telling me now that there's no gym, like, oh, I'll take it.
I worked out at P&G, but I like they had Mondays and Thursdays, and like you could hardly catch me in twice a week, and it was just a simple boxing class. Like coach was like, all right, on the mitts, jab, double jab, jab right hand,
Oh my gosh.
That was all it was for me. But my striking came a long ways doing that. I used to look very awkward, and I didn't look as awkward when I, with the experience I had gained, which was very minimal. Yeah, it was. I wasn't scared at all. I mean, like I said when we talked last week, I wasn't scared until I realized I was like, why am I jumping around, bouncing around, bah, 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 bah. And he's standing over there just leaning, like just kind of kicked back, scratch the head, and I'm over there like, why is he not moving? This dude is, and we start off the bat, and I run towards him. We tap gloves, and he kicks me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what that
you're
was."
like,
it was definitely an eye-opening for sure. The only damage I took was he squeezed my damn neck so hard when he choked me out. I mean, like he arched my back completely.
Yeah.
And my Adam's apple was out of place, and like the next 2 days, I was just clicking it back into place. And it was like every time I swallowed food, it would just click, and I'm like, ow.
Yeah.
But that was it. And I was like, damn, I'm gonna carry that choke with me for the rest of my life. That was like the choke seen around the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
it was.
Okay, I want it before I forget this thought, because that's what my brain goes, mink, and then I have to do this whole thing and like throw something. But it's so the whole, not we're brothers. Okay, so when I say this, I'm not saying it like in a mean way, but like the whole thing is like kind of fucked. and so and so but the key thing is that now that you look at it, you're like, oh, I actually needed this giant mistake.
Yeah, big time.
That
Oh yeah.
boom. Now it's like you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to do this, do that. You're like, I've already been through this like shitty thing. And it's
Yeah.
just um, you know,
Well, he could have stood and banged with me. We could have stood and banged for a little bit.
right.
But he's got them leg kicks that I ain't even really ever heard of.
Or felt.
I could have boxed. If it was just boxing, I think I would have been okay. He would have kicked my ass, but
Right.
I wouldn't have been too far off. But you throw the legs in there, and I would have just had legs going this way, that way, getting hit in the face while I'm getting kicked in the legs. It was definitely new. It was like getting hit by a massive wave for sure.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just think you have the healthiest look at it. And like I said, most people would, if you were, there are people that I know who, I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but you know who you are. Okay. They are like, yeah, I could totally, I could fight. You know what I mean? And now that I've been doing it for a while, and I know that I used to think I could fight, and then I knew that I couldn't when I got in there. I'm like, I watching, and I'm just like, you don't say shit. But at the same time, I really hope this dude would just think it, and like I just happened to be close. It like made me smile. I'm like, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Well, and something else. This is all you people who think you can fight. Most of you are probably going to throw a right hand, and you're going to probably lean way back, right? You're so screwed. By the time I slipped it, I would have hit you like 4 times,
Yeah.
right?
I hit him
Oh,
on the window. Yeah. I would have seen that major telegraph, that letter opener back there,
yeah,
and pop back.
the letter
Go back
opener.
with a
I like.
9 mil.
Well, and then something else, like you said, right? The leg kick. People don't know if you've never been hit with one, or even with pads on, like consistently gotten hit in a spot where you're like, oh, ooh. The first time it happens, you are fucked. Like you go like this, like you see their eyes get giant. They're like, what? Like, because they
Yeah,
don't know. And even if they
huge.
try to throw one, it never looks good. It's not right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had a case actually. I was at a bar. Inhibitions were in the wind, and
Mm,
I ended up getting into an altercation with a gentleman, and that was the first thing I could think of in my mind was kick him in the leg. And
yeah,
so, I mean, I cracked him in the thigh as hard as I could,
yeah.
twisted my knee and just slammed it, kind of
Mm.
Rodtang him. And he looked at me, and that was that. I mean, it was just, I don't want to fight, bro. Let's talk about this. And just a simple leg kick will do it to you. I've been kicked by a couple guys that put my leg offset. Like I walked funny for a month from getting kicked in
Mm.
the thigh one time.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just one nice wabam, and people are like, "Hey, I wasn't really about this." But I was until now.
Yeah. Well, it
That's how
also, if
people
you
are.
open with that, if you open with a leg kick, immediately they're like, he fights. I'm done. Like,
Well, I normally, if I open with any kick, if I would ever do so in a street fight, I would just do a question mark kick because that's like confusion,
yeah.
big time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I do it in every single fight so far, except for my first one and
Mm-hmm.
my third one. And I land it. They try to block the knee, and then I come over with an axe kick right around the top, and it always works. And so that
It's
that would be
effective.
something to back people back up. Yeah, that'll get people to back up for sure.
I'm telling you right now, that good strategy if you're 6'4", but if you're
Yeah,
5'8", not a good one.
Just take him down. Take
I'm
him to the
going.
ground.
I'm chopping that leg like it's a tree.
Yep. Well, I mean, when you got an axe for a leg, that's what you got to do.
Oh yeah, but
So,
we're so off topic. But I love this shit. Uh, but I want to get back to Abe and his
mhm.
shitty. Yeah, listen, Abe, your no contest. It's bullshit. And
It is.
here we go.
It is bullshit. Speaking of how it's bullshit, he looked at me at the end of the fight and I want my rematch. I'm like, what are you talking about? You didn't want to be here in the first place, bud.
We're here now.
Yeah, I
Where are
didn't.
you?
You could have looked at the doctor and been like, nah, let's keep this up. I've broken bones in there and kept going. So, but my mom was there, everybody was there, and I was nervous as hell. And I couldn't really put a name on what I was nervous about because I guess I didn't have a place in this specific setting where I could just go put my head down and just be like, what's going on? Talk to myself and figure out what my fear is and quench it, because you can do that, because that other guy is going to have that exact same thing, and it's healthy to be fearful.
Yeah.
So I was fearful all the way up until I threw that first kick. And I'm not an electric first round fighter, I wouldn't say. I'm not to the point where that dog just comes out of me. Right away I can run in there like Masvidal and Askren or Conor McGregor and just, right off the bat with a knee and knock out people. I do have that power. Definitely, I've been told a few times I got the touch of death, but I just sat there that first round figuring this guy out. What does he do when I kick him this way? What does he do when I kick him that way? Every move that I made was calculated, and I figured him out really easily. He can't hit me in the face. Not very many people can nowadays, even with my freaking leg brace on, by the way. I I sparred a couple people the other day. Probably shouldn't have, but boxed them and didn't get hit in the face more than twice in like 4 rounds.
Okay, I was like, you're getting kicked in that thing?
No.
Okay.
But I knew a couple things. Don't let him kick me in the head again, and he can't hit me in the face. I mean, if we get in closer, he may have a chance, but I'm too fast with my Philly shell. I use it in MMA because if I use a Philly shell, and I've gotten told by a few people that it's a bad thing to do, but I can block a kick this way and I can block a kick that way right off the bat. And I'm, also protecting my head and body from punching, from getting punched. So that's kind of what I've resorted to on how I defend myself, is a mixed martial arts version of Floyd Mayweather's Philly shell. And so I was slipping, dodging. He couldn't hit me, kept throwing this big left. It just kept scooting in front of my face. And I thought to myself, don't let, I could feel that thing, and I couldn't. And he didn't even hit me. So I thought to myself, don't let him hit me with that big left. That's definitely a cold one that he's got right there. And it was fast. So I learned everything about him. And then like 5 seconds before the end of the round, he threw his second and only strike that landed on me that entire fight. And it was a head kick. And he caught me, hit me in the, like his foot wrapped around the back of my head and it put me on. I didn't blink out or anything. I just felt lightning go from my head to my toes and jumped up and put a little space in between us and then just started throwing my jab, right hand, threw an uppercut, just stay away. I had like 3 seconds, so I was fine. My jaw didn't hurt. I wasn't flustered, nothing like that. So we sat down. My corner and my best friend, he forgot my water, so he ran back, got my water. He's super nervous. He was shaking more than I was. He was having a heart attack.
This is him with your water. Oh
yeah,
God!
I know. I was just like, just give me the damn thing. And
there's no water left. It's all gone.
I'm looking over at Abe, and every person I've went into the second round with, they always, we got that eye to eye. I'm gonna fuck you up. We're paying attention to our corners, but I'm gonna kick your ass. We got that energy about us, and he just was huffing and puffing, and looked sad, exhausted, bummed out, didn't want to be there. And maybe that was just his personality. I don't know. Either way, I freaking hated it.
Well, he
And
probably
so,
thought it was going to be easy too.
yeah, so I come in there like a bat out of hell that second round, and I slapped him in the leg with like the hardest kick I threw at him. Almost knocked myself off balance in the process, but
Mhm.
it had a good effect. And then jabbed him 3 times, and then came in with a kind of a shortened check hook and caught him and broke his orbital and his
Mm.
cheek, from what I've heard. Um, don't quote me on it, but I heard that his orbital was broken and his cheekbone is broken down to here. And when I saw him, his eyeball was dripping some form of white stuff
Yeah.
that I do not want to see again. It was disgusting. But you play the footage back, and you see, from the high def cameras, you see
I mean,
my
look at your knuckles. Look at your knuckles, man.
I got huge knuckles, dude. I got huge knuckles.
Yeah, no wonder you those knuckles just went.
Yep, well,
Oh.
just right in there too. And so you watch that back, and there's no fingers, anything, and I mean, it connects, and his head just goes dunk, clear back, just
Mm.
soul out of his body for a second, grabs his eye, turns around, and runs away. And I should have chased after him, defend yourself at all times, kind of thing, and should have made him pay for it, but
So did
it
the
ended
ref
up
jump
happening.
in right away when he ran away, or did he just? You were like, what the? You're like, what's
That's
going
what I
on?
don't remember. I know the ref called the fight. He stopped the fight for like further review or whatever. And I asked him, because he was saying eye poke, eye poke. And I asked the ref, I was like, did I poke him in the eye? And he said, no, you had a closed hand. And I was like, okay, thank you. Um,
And then they go like this, fight.
yeah, and that's what it should have been. If you get an eye injury without the eye poke, if it's that bad that you're getting beat around, it'll be a TKO in the UFC if you've
Mm-hmm.
got good judging. But in my mind, the judge should have fought for me a little bit and been like, "Hey, he didn't poke him in the eye. Let's keep this going. Kid has a chance to defend himself." I mean,
Right.
you I mean, when the whole O'Malley and Pedro Munoz thing was going on, everybody was like, you know what? I still would have pushed through it.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I mean, I've had that happen to me with people wearing boxing gloves, where a knuckle went through the glove and just caught me in the eyeball, and I was like, really bad. And it hurt like hell, and I just,
Yeah.
kept going despite it. I got beat up, but the goal is to get hit and learn how to deal with it, not get
Mm-hmm.
hit and away from it.
Right.
And so I got a guy that wanted to run away, and I walked out of the cage, and I had people get out of their seats, like a shit ton of people get out of their seats, shake my hand. You didn't poke him in the eye. He did not want to be in there. He looked scared. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't hit you. You were beating him around, and I got what I needed from the crowd, but to myself, I still didn't go in there and put on a Reagan O'Connor kind of performance.
Right.
I think I worked my ass off in that camp, and the buildup was nice, but then I let my stress get to me, and even though that I should have gotten the finish that second round, it would have been a nice finish too. I probably would have, in Nebraska. You can knee and elbow. I would have thrown something fun into the mix.
Oh, he got off lucky.
Yes, sir.
Lucky.
And that's what I was training too, is a lot of elbows and knees. So I was just mad that I didn't get to go out there and show what I do in round 2 and round 3, because I'm not going to go out there and put my jaw on the line in round
Right.
1. Once I'm sure of myself, and I'm not going to get rocked. I got
Mm.
this. The competition is, this is just a stepping stool for me, or stepping stone. They are stepping stones for me, every person I fight right now, but I'm still new to this. And MMA is a big sport where anything can happen at any moment in time. So right now I'm at the bottom of the food chain where that's at. Anything can really, really happen to me, because I'm an amateur league, no headgear, knees and elbows in Nebraska, where no
Yeah.
others really do that, that I
Nope.
know of. But You know, I'm just a minnow in a shark tank right now, you know, trying to make my way through it. And so, you know, my next fight, it'll definitely be a banger, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's against a wrestler, grappler,
Let's
kickboxer, Muay
go.
Thai fighter. Either way, I'll use whatever weaknesses they have against them. You got a
Well,
bad knee, I'll find out. You got a bad elbow, I'll find out, and I'll exploit that side. You know, I'll put some work where work deserves to be put. And, um, you know, that fight was going to be I'm actually going to show y'all what's up, you know, who Reagan O'Connor really is. And I didn't get to go out there and do that. So next fight, I'm going to do it. And the fight after that, I'm going to just raise the bar and just keep going up. And
hell yeah. Dude, I'm telling you right now, the it's not only like it's so there's so many things at play here, but it's all good. Like humility, learning from the lessons, like the defeat, the failure, the no contest. It's all of these things mixed together, and it's making if people allow it, like you are, it makes this rare type of thing. Like this person that's determined, unmovable. It develops this new entity that then you become in like the best way possible. And like I said, I'm just so glad that I get to like be here and talk to you and like totally just feel like you're not in here, but it's like, oh, like this is just a regular thing. And to be around people like you, not only are they people watching and people who buy tickets and all this stuff, they get to see it live firsthand. But even through, state, another state, and through a computer, like right now I'm pumping, like, what am I gonna do after this episode? Like I'm like motivated to like I'm gonna stay up till midnight. Like we gotta do this thing. Like it's
hit some
contagious.
push-ups. Hit some push-ups.
Yeah. Whoa, too far. I don't too many push-ups. um but no, like I said, I really hope that becomes something. You've already taken the lesson as a positive, right? But I hope that the committee that is in charge of judging that goes, yeah, no, this is definitely a win. Like it's
Even if it
clearly
doesn't,
obvious.
even if it doesn't, I know what happened. We all know what happened.
Yeah,
That
it's not
pancake is
shifting
flat
you.
enough. That pancake is flat enough that there's only one side. And I know he knows what happened. And you know, I'm just comfortable with the fact that I've been living in someone's head rent free for the past 4 or 5 months.
Oh, and his eye socket.
Yeah, and his eye socket.
Yeah, this guy still has fluid coming out. He has to walk. He has to be there
You
for that all
know,
the time.
I
Oh
uh,
no,
I heard he hasn't been in the gym since then.
no
Yeah,
way.
one of my buddies used to train with him, and he said, "Yeah, I heard they had a baby. He hasn't been in the gym since then." And I was like, "Well, you know, I had a baby and I was in the gym, so you know, maybe I've been living in there a little bit too much."
Yeah, I think you have a permanent home.
I hope so. I think when he's 50 years old, he's going to be like, "Man, I really bitched out on that one. I really took the low road because there's no shame in getting your ass kicked, but there is shame in quitting."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yep.
you could say there's shame in me tapping. You know, I tap. Maybe I should just let myself
Hell
pass
no.
out. But when it comes to just cowering away, it rubs me the completely different direction that I want to be in. You know,
Yeah. Well, either
I
way, we both know that that's what he did.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Period.
You know, I don't train with cowards either. I
Mm,
don't with people that sis around and you know take a break whenever they get hit too hard. Well, okay, that's one thing I guess. But if you're just getting frustrated mid round and you're not making the right decisions and you're making mistakes,
yeah.
learn from get hit in the head and be like, what the hell do I do to stop getting hit that damn hard? You
Right.
know, you learn from these things and mid fight if I'm confusing you that much that you're just like, I don't want to do this, then don't do it.
Oh yeah.
Because
I mean, that's a perfect atmosphere, right? Like, so when you have partners which why I like Glory so much, is that like they're not they're beating you up, but they're not beating you up. You know what I mean? Like I know when I take like, oh shoot, like makes my head go like that. I go, it could have been much powerful. I know this guy.
Much worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like physical constructive criticism almost.
Oh,
But
perfectly said. Yeah. Physical
it's
constructive
the
criticism.
physical side of it. It's the more you get touched, the more you learn, if you ask me. Unless
Hmm.
you're just a gym's punching bag. And then,
Right.
yeah,
Well,
there
how
are a
else?
few of those. I have seen those in every gym. Someone that just gets beat around a lot.
Yeah.
Just
his
like, hey
his
man,
name's
go get rounds with this guy. I know you can take a punch.
his name's Abe Sanchez.
He needs to be.
Well,
No,
and
he'll
that's
be
how
the
I
janitor.
learned.
He'll
Like
be the
that's how I
janitor.
learned, man.
He'll be the janitor before you know it. Not the punching bag, the janitor.
Ah, shit, my eye's leaking again. I got to do. But like, if this is the punch, the mic's the punch. Like learning to like just just move a little, not like like most people move way out of the way. That's something that's only learned by you testing it and going, no, no, like
Yep.
it's just being, and then because you're so comfortable, like, oh, even if he does, I know that this guy, my partner, is not gonna go bam right into my face on
Right.
purpose.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gonna tag me until I move my head.
Well, I will tell you, if you ever see those memes where it's like, we both agreed to light spar 30 seconds into sparring match, duking it out.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how many times I say I only want a light spar, there's one man. His name is Jordan Nash. He owns my gym. This is a call out, Jordan, because we're freaking terrible for this. And I swear, Bill lets my coach Bill lets him do it too. I swear, but like Jordan will just come in with these explosive. I mean, just wailing on me. I mean, he knows he's better, and he just beats the crap out of me, and then laughs about it 3 months later. Talking about it, and I'll bring it up, and I'm like, yeah, asshole, freaking zombie
That's
KO.
not what I said.
Walked away. He does it to me, and I'm like, you know what? At least I'm getting better. When I went to my MMA gym, when I started training there, I came back and sparred with Jordan for the first time in like 3 months, 4 months, and I won the first round. I mean, there was a worried look in his eyes, and
All right.
but in the second and third round,
Doing it?
he in the second and third round he turned it around.
Yeah.
He turned it around, and he learned how to get around my jab again, and just started. And he's shorter than me, so he's just getting at them low angles where I'm just swinging.
Yeah.
And I mean, now if that happened, if you're gonna dip that low, I'm just gonna keep my hands up here and watch until you stop.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just wasting energy trying to hit him, couldn't hit him, and I probably should have done what Anderson Silva did to Jake and like grab my leg and then throw a punch, confuse you a
Yeah.
little bit. But yeah, Jordan's that one dude that just beats the crap out of me. No restraint. He takes his bad days out on me, for sure. And he tells me that too. He's like, yeah, man, I was having a bad day. And I'm like, I didn't know that until afterwards.
You were like, okay, well, thanks.
Yep. But I'm also guilty because apparently my straights are harder than most people's hooks.
Well, you don't know if you know this. You're 6'4". There's a lot longer.
Yep.
There's a lot longer travel.
But my hooks are not my beauty punches. Is the thing. Like I can do a nice liver shot and get your head spinning with that, but just my straight right and my jab. Like I get told my jab's the most annoying. If there was a mosquito that can hit you with a sledgehammer, that's my jab. It's annoying. It's buzzing around. It's right there. And I create a box with my jab whenever I'm fighting somebody. So like, no matter where you go, you got to make sure you're not in that portion of the box that I'm going to throw at, because I don't use my jab as a weapon other than stay away, boom. And when you do get hit, it's that nice, head rocking motion. Look like you doing.
I'm at a metal concert.
Yep, bad one.
Bump.
Yep, head shaking all day. But I'm hoping my next opponent is somebody that will gladly beat the crap out of me.
They want to be there, the same way you want to be there, not
Yeah,
the other
absolutely.
way. Yeah.
I'll take on the number one contender in Nebraska when I come back, and I'll say that to you. Like, I'll say that to you as it is. When I get back, my first fight back will be a number one contender, and I'll call him out, talk shit, and everything just to make it happen.
Yeah.
Just and because they don't have anything that I don't have.
Yep.
I've watched the fight. I've went to all the dynasty fights in the last 5 months. I've watched them all.
Mm.
What do they have that I don't have and can't build on with my size? That speed that the shorter guys have, even though I'm super tall, I still have it. And so I truly think that I can go in there and take the cake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want no scrubs. I want to fight somebody that's worth worth it. A good career fight.
Right. Absolutely. Especially in Nebraska. The elbows and knees thing in amateur is still kind of baffling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get, let me put it this way. The guys that I've known that were in the gym and that's their job and they're like 8-0, 7-0, like fighting in front of like a stadium, right? Like a big event, right? That's different than the guy who was doing the punching bag who went and paid the $50 to $100 for the amateur license.
Yeah.
So there's a huge level. So not saying that anyone would take that, but like if someone backs out of a fight and then they're like, oh yeah, I feel confident, I've been training in the basement, and they take the fight, you're like, shit.
Elbows and knees.
Yeah. You were like, yes. Like there's a level there, but the plans you have, the way that you're going about it is all great. And we have just like 7 minutes or so left. And so I want to make sure that you have a spot to say whatever and the future plans and things that you have going. And, what does 2023 look like for you, man?
So, as I'm rounding the year up to a close, I'm working on my knee. I'm gonna have that surgery that I told you about.
Got it.
I had another doctor's appointment, and it's looking like it's gonna be the best route, but that also still keeps me in the time frame to return and go crazy.
Excellent.
That I want to work with. So get that knee surgery in, and I've already had a shoulder surgery, and in the past when I had it, I did a great job in physical therapy, and I did everything I was supposed to at home. I bought a TENS unit electrical receptor to get those muscles going. I'm gonna strengthen my knee up the way I strengthened my shoulder up. Make sure both are good, and I'm gonna keep staying on a healthy regimen. I'm constantly working out. Not gonna shoot any roids, but you can see me definitely in the gym every day, working that upper body, getting big like McGregor. I've noticed, putting on weights, dude. I've noticed it. All that fat's climbed off because I haven't been able to have a big appetite for anything but healthy foods recently, really. So everything's coming off, and all I'm doing is working out, and this upper body's getting there. Once I get my knee into play, it's dedicate myself to my passion and fly. And I also plan on hopefully by December having a house, under that I own, nothing rented or anything like that. I'd love to have a house.
Right there with you, brother. Right there with you.
I'd love to have a house, and not everything is going to happen when I want it to, but I do know that I'm going to make that happen, and I'm going to have myself a new truck by mid-year. I'm working on getting my business started. I work in arborism. I'm a tree guy. I freaking love it. Me and my partner just got an investor recently in our business, and so we're going to be able to get.
Hell yeah, man.
So we do quality work, and so we're going to be getting the equipment that we need instead of renting out our like box trucks, or not box trucks, but boom lifts and whatnot to get us up in the sky to cut, so we don't have to climb anymore as well. So that's nice. A business is going to boom. I'm going to be able to hire a couple people eventually. so that I can just fully train, fully work on training and staying healthy, and but also working sometimes. But
Right.
my goal is right now, everything needs to be dedicated towards my career.
Yeah.
Um, but also having efforts to, make sure I have something to fall back on, just in case a knee injury happens again, or
Right.
COVID somehow rears back up and we can't, fight for 6 months. What am I going to do in that 6 months? Okay,
Go crazy. You're gonna go
I'm
crazy.
so crazy. Get in my bag, absolutely. So, my goal is to just make every aspect of my life flourish, as you were saying. Setbacks usually mean something big's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that those that doubt me are going to be very, very surprised and upset to see how well things are going for me. I think my work ethic's going to put me in a place that I'm finally comfortable. Going from being financially stable as a single guy when I moved out when I was 17. I was a very mature adult at a young age. I had a great savings account, and then got married and kind of started making bad decisions. And as I slowly get back into the groove of things, I realized I can be that person again that I was before,
Mm-hmm.
but also grow as a person,
Absolutely.
not only be stable financially, but spiritually, mentally, physically. Um, have a home base to go to, have a place to say, you know what, no lease is going to change the fact that I live here. This is a place my daughter's always going to be able to come home to. So just family raising and individually working on myself and not perfecting myself, but making myself happy. Because that's really big. I'm done making everybody else happy.
Yeah.
And I'm done trying to impress people too, for sure. I like impressing myself. I found that
Oh,
that's a big love.
yes.
I love going and getting a pump in the gym and then checking my muscles out afterwards. I love building things and seeing, I just did that, got paid for it. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So that happiness factor has definitely been slowly going up, and you know, so I think people just better watch out. 2023 is going to be big for me. I may not have 4 fights in 2023, but I'm going to be up big time. And
Yeah.
the steps have already been put in place. I've already climbed this mountain 100 times. I know my way up faster than I knew my way up previously, and I know my way down too. And really, a message I want to get across to a lot of people is stop going with the flow and start going with you. You
Mm.
create your own flow. You know, I've slowly realized things over time, but being a dad at my age has pushed me into a position where I have to think. Survival is a big thing, especially when you become a father for the first time.
Right.
And any life lessons to go with my goals is create your own flow, and good things will come to you. And patience, like seriously, be patient. And
Dude, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're like a smile shows up on my face because I'm
yeah,
like, and this guy, he's got it. I'm glad I know him. I know this guy. Like, I'm just like, it like makes me happy for you. Like all
yeah,
that stuff, like you, not like you deserve it, but like no, you earn it. That's way
yeah.
better than like I deserve it. It's like no, you earn that shit, man.
Yeah, I don't
Like
deserve shit, honestly. Nothing's gonna be put in my pocket.
nope.
I Everything I do know right now, I either was hurt in some way, aching or sore in some way, learning what I learned. If it's something mentally, I strained myself mentally and stressed myself out, learning. So go ahead.
Oh
We
no,
got
you were
one.
good.
Oh,
Yeah, I
we
was
got
just saying we have 1 minute, so I was just gonna say, listen, Reagan, 2023 is your year.
Yes,
Any
it is.
whatever you are gonna have, you're gonna have. Like, there's nothing, there's nothing in the way, and if it
Yeah.
is, it's not in the way,
Mhm.
right?
It's
Fully
in my.
confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother, I am so happy that I get to talk to you and that I get to know you.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in Kansas City or if I'm ever near Nebraska, I'll let you know.